Welcome to Love You Bro Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Jude. I want to talk a little bit about social media and how you can follow us. If you'll please follow us on our Facebook page, X, Instagram, TikTok, and please go to our YouTube channel and follow us, subscribe, like. That'll help us build our followers. To build our podcast, we got to build our followers and our listeners. So hope everybody's kind of tuning in. We've got a really good list of guests coming on the rest of this summer, and we're super excited about it. I'm going to start off talking about our sponsors, and our biggest sponsor today. We want to thank Proactive Solutions. We'd like to thank our sponsor. Proactive Solutions has been delivering infrastructure solutions and IT design and consultation services to clients, managing from startups to Fortune 100 companies for more than 27 years. They are proud to be Kansas City locally owned and a top woman-owned business offering custom solutions and personalized support. They have worked with hundreds of companies from SiriusXM radio to hospitals around the country. You can trust Proactive Solutions with all your technology needs. If your company needs IT solutions, reach out to Proactive Solutions at www.proactivesolutions.com. So a big thanks goes out to them. Primetime Transportation is another one of our sponsors we'd like to thank. If you're looking for transportation to Yazoo, any of the concerts coming up this summer, please give us a call, 913-484-1234, or go to primetimeassistant.com to take a look there. But let us know if you have any needs for Yazoo or any of the concerts, Royal, Sporting KC coming up. We're also thankful that we have our sponsor, Nimble Brewing, where we shoot our shows at 1735 Oak Street. So thank you to all of our sponsors, because without them, it wouldn't be possible for us to do our show. Yeah, so guys, I'm going to be able to tell you a little bit about our merch. Specialized Printing does our shirts and stuff. We're going to have some really cool merch that comes out. You know, we're having fun with this podcast. My brother Jamie and I are having fun with this. The people around us that kind of said, hey, let's do this podcast. We said, let's have some fun with it, see where it goes. We're going to have some really cool merchandise coming out. Tommy O, my boy Tommy O, is going to do us some shirts. We got some really cool trucker hats coming out, and also hoodies. So please follow us on our social media to see when that stuff drops. We'd love for you guys to support us and wear some of this merch around Kansas City, or even wear it out of town. We were out of town this past weekend, Memorial Day weekend in Philadelphia, and celebrating my fiance's niece, Gwendolyn and Steve, got married this weekend. So toast, cheers to them. I shouldn't even be drinking any tequila. I should be drinking more water, because we had plenty of cocktails and stuff this weekend, but it was great to spend that time with the Davis family. I know Jessica doesn't get a chance to go back to Philly that often, but we had a blast back there. So cheers again to Gwendolyn and Steve. We had an awesome time in Philly. We also had a little time for cheesesteaks, of course, because you guys know I like to eat and I like to talk. So we did some really cool cheesesteaks back there at, and I'll mess the name up because it was, I don't know. I want to say Nick and Jake's, and that's not it, but it changed the name of it. But we had to go there because every time we go back to Philly, we try these different cheesesteak places. But anyway, we tried it. It's fantastic. And then, of course, we always got to make a stop and a shout out to Big Charlie's. Big Charlie's, thanks to all the guys there. Paulie and all the guys there are always so nice about welcoming everybody from Kansas City in there. So if you're in South Philly and you want to go in and have a beer and talk Chiefs and see the Super Bowl trophies, go to Big Charlie's and check those guys out. So again, hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. We had a lot of fun in Philadelphia. So tonight I want to speak a little bit about our guest that we have coming on. We have a really cool guest coming on tonight, Dexter McCluster. Dexter's a guy that I've worked with and known for a long time. Dex played at Ole Miss from 2006 to 2009, and when he was drafted here for the Chiefs, he was a 36th overall pick in the second round. And when Dexter got here, luckily I was one of the first people to meet him, and we'll kind of get into that story here a little bit later, but I think you'll really enjoy our interview coming up with Dexter. He's super excited about coming on. I think that's one of the fun things about our show and our podcast that people are really going to like is we really want our guys and players that we worked with over the last 20 years to really kind of open up and tell us, you know, some of the things that they're doing after football, their afterlife, and really how they're kind of making a difference on the younger guys that are following them, talking about different pitfalls and things that they had come up in their careers, things they wish they would have done different, maybe, you know, different advice they would have taken from financial advisors. You know, when these kids come out of college, A lot of times they just have so many different people pulling at them. And it's one of the things I've learned a lot over the last 20-something years is how many different people are pulling from them. The type of situations they come from, they're coming from backgrounds where they're the biggest breadwinner in their family. And being that person, you've got people tugging and pulling at you. So I think you'll hear a lot of stories coming up from our players and stuff that'll come on this summer that will talk about a lot of that stuff. How you kind of steer and you got to stay, focused and really have the right group of people around you. So I can't wait to get some of these people on. We'll have some future NBA guests that we'll be bringing on to talk about the NBA playoffs. Boston punched their ticket this weekend to the NBA Finals. The Mavericks are up 3-0 on Minnesota. And if you've been watching any of the NBA playoffs, I'm sure you noticed our guys, Kelce, P. Mahomes, and Hollywood Brown in the stands. Hollywood is born and raised in Dallas, even though he went to Oklahoma. Patrick, obviously being from Dallas, they're huge Maverick fans. And I saw that Kelce and those guys were all on the sidelines this weekend, sitting courtside for that Mavericks game. So it looks like it's probably going to be Dallas and probably be Boston in the finals. And like I said, just looking at some of our guests we got coming up, we have some of the NBA guys coming on, but we'll have a lot of current and former NFL players that'll be coming on talking about what they'll be doing when they get their 6 weeks off after their final part of their OTAs. Guys started their OTAs today. That'll go for another couple weeks, and then about June 14th, they break. They've got about 6 weeks off. So some guys will talk during that time. We got some guys coming back. Mitch Morse, who's a guy we work with. Mitch is a kid that came out of University of Missouri, played here in Kansas City for 4 years, then went on and moved to play at Buffalo for 5 years. Mitch will be coming on during the time when he has a break because he's now the center for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll be excited about having Mitch on and bringing Dexter on tonight. We'll talk a little bit about the kick returners and the type of kick returns that the Chiefs have had. Another kid that we work with, McCole Hardman, the Jet, who's actually signed this helmet with Andy Reid back after the Super Bowl 54 game. McCole will be one of our future guests that we have on. So it'll be fun to kind of talk to him about a Super Bowl catch. But I really want to ask Dexter a few questions tonight about what he thinks or how he thinks he matched up or how he compares to Dante Hall. Dante was one of the first guys I started working with, 20 years back. Everybody knows Dante Hall. McCole Hardman I've worked with, and working with Dexter. It's kind of fun to see where these guys kind of feel that they've matched up against each other. And then just the mutual respect they have. I know when I see Dante around the stadium, I see him talking with McCole. I'll see him, interacting with Dexter, and it's just really cool to see how a lot of those older guys come back and intermix with the guys that they have played, previously. So a lot of fun to see that. So McCole will be a future guest. Looking forward to talking to Dexter tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun asking him some questions about his stuff. Welcome back to Love You Bro podcast. As I said earlier, man, I want to welcome a very good friend of mine, a client of mine, but more importantly, family. I want to welcome Dexter McCluster to the Love You Bro podcast tonight. What's up, Dex?
Man, just cooler, but guess what, bro? I love you too, bro.
Man, that's awesome, bro.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, we've been through a lot together, huh?
A lot, man. A lot of good times, man.
Hey,
it's a brotherhood. We family now, brother.
Listen, man, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know how busy you are back in Nashville. Everything that you got going on back there, man. I'm so proud of my guys, Dexter, guys that I've worked with. You and Derek Johnson and Brandon Carr and Brandon Flowers, all the guys that I see, Jamal Charles. The thing that excites me the most, bro, is I knew what you guys were as football people. I knew what you guys were as family, man, because I saw you around your wives and your kids, and that always means so much to me. And then to watch what you guys are doing after football, that's what's special, bro. It's really special what you guys have done after football.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. I appreciate it, man, because again, as you know, when you're doing something for so long, pretty much all of your life, and then now it's over, you kind of think that it's going to be forever, but it's not, man. So it's all about just having that foundation and trying to find that purpose to keep that train moving.
Right. Well, listen, man, we're gonna start. I'm gonna start asking you some questions, and we're gonna go back because I've been back there with you. We're gonna start back in your high school days, back in Largo, Florida.
Largo, Florida, not Key Largo.
No, not Key Largo. Largo,
yeah.
Florida. I know where Largo is, and I know where the corner store is too.
Yeah, Handy Corner. At this point, it's a landmark.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's generations.
Hey, listen, I remember going back to Largo with you one time, and you had shipped your Jaguar back to Largo, and I remembered pulling up to the corner store with you, and again, it's one of those experiences that's so surreal because watching all these little kids that were looking up to you. And watching these kids come up, and you're in there, buying them a soda, buying them a sucker, buying them some candy, whatever. But all they wanted to do was just catch a couple minutes of Dexter McCluster. Tell me what that was like coming back to Largo when you did, like when you would come back and what it was like with the kids and people would always come up to you there.
Right, man. It was an unbelievable feeling knowing that, hey, I came from Largo. I grew up in Largo all my life. And, I was once one of those little kids looking up to somebody, just wanting to be around the presence of somebody older, somebody that I can look up to, and me being able to go off and get drafted and come back home.
Right.
That's why I go home so much, because that's my foundation, man. Like if it wasn't for where I'm from and the people I've been around, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. You know what I mean? So just being able to be looked at as a role model, just to let them know that, hey, I'm still touchable. I'm still reachable. I'm still here with you guys.
Of course.
The dream is still alive, and I hope that it's alive through me, and it becomes something to, where they feel like, hey, if he did it, I can do it. That's why I try to go home as much as I can. But again, Handy Corner Store, man, that's where a lot of us it's just something that's a part of all of us that's from Largo, and just to be able to go back and show those kids a little glimpse of light, man. It was unbelievable.
Of course.
I have a dog with me.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah. I rolled back there with you a couple times, man. So tell me a little bit about when you were back at Largo. You started playing football there in high school. When did you, or even if it was even before when you were at Largo, when did you kind of sense, what? Like this is when it's kind of turned. Was it in high school? Was it a freshman year, sophomore year? Was it a certain game that you felt like, what? I can go to the next level and do this.
Yeah, I want to take it back a little further. In Pop Warner, I knew it was something a little different in me. I knew I cared about the game just a little bit more than some of those guys did at a young age. I think I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
Got a sweep to the right side, got tackled, fumbled the ball. The other guy, the defender, picked it up, started running the other way.
Right.
I was so mad about that moment. I fumbled the ball. I lost the ball. Now he's taking it back. So I got up off the ground. I chased him down, grabbed the ball from him, and took it back for the touchdown about 80 yards, man. So that's when I knew that, man, I love what I do. And I knew that my mindset was kind of ahead of my time, So I think that's the moment where I really knew that I had a chance to, to go somewhere. I knew I was special in that moment.
Of course. And how old were you at that time?
I was about 10 years old, man.
10 years old. Okay. About 10.
10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've always had the mindset. I knew I was the smallest, but if you told me that, good luck.
Of course. Listen, I saw the stuff that you did on the field and, your size and your height and your weight, but it was something that never, from what I saw when I met you and watched you play, the fear part of it was there was never a fear part, man. When you had the ball in your hand, you were taking it one way, and that was north and south.
100%, man. Yeah. You have to be fearless, man. If you can't avoid contact in football, you can't avoid, what's going to happen. But if you go in with the right mindset and the mindset of, hey, I'm not worried about them, they have to worry about me.
Right.
That's a scary situation, especially if you believe it.
Right.
And I did.
Right. So when you're at Largo High School, freshman year, sophomore, when did you start playing varsity?
Yeah, so I got pulled up after my freshman season, and they put me back at kickoff return. And, I remember to this day, we were playing Clearwater High School. And Coach Rodriguez, Rick Rodriguez, my high school coach, he was like, hey, I'm going to get you in the game this game. I'm going to get you in the game. And he put me in the last, 20 seconds just to kneel the ball. So I ran out. I was in victory formation as a running back, and he nailed the ball. So I was a freshman, so I was crushed. I wanted to cry, but I had to hold it together. And I remember my dad jumping over the fence. He was livid. So he went to coach and was like, this same little guy that you didn't put in or that you don't believe in, he's going to be the one to change this program, man. From his mouth to the football field, man. I was that guy that kind of, changed the trajectory of Largo High School. And so I got pulled up freshman year and sophomore year. They had a senior running back, Julius, and so I had to play defense. So a lot of colleges were looking at me as a defensive back, but I knew I needed the ball in my hand.
Of course.
So I did that, but the last 5 games of the season, our senior running back got hurt. And the last 5 games, I put up like 500 and something yards. And after that, man, it was a no-brainer.
Man, I love it, man. I love it. So when did school start coming in? When you're at Largo, when did the school start coming in? The bigger school names, and was Ole Miss always at the top of your list, or where were some of the other schools that were recruiting you?
Yeah, man. So my junior year was when everybody was like, "Hold on, this little guy making some noise, right?" But so that's when some schools started showing some interest. And then my senior year, I was the first in Pinellas County to rush for over 2,000 yards.
Wow.
In a single season, and I think I had 39 touchdowns that year.
Right.
So that's when they were like, okay, well, yeah, he's not the prototypical running back. He's smaller, but he's putting up numbers, and those guys started coming in. Yeah, and Ole Miss came in late. I didn't even know where. I knew it was in Mississippi.
Right.
They weren't on my radar whatsoever. But Ed Ogeron, he was persistent, man, and he came and sat in my living room, and with that raspy New Orleans Cajun voice, hey, how's my papa doing? Hey, so I know. Look, I know you've seen the movie. I know you've seen the movie Blue Chip.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know how the coach went in there, and he just selling dreams.
Right.
And man, we were throwing pillows in the living room. He was telling me I'm like Reggie Bush, so I'm hyped up.
Right.
So that's when I ended up, going on my first visit to Ole Miss, because at that point I was committed to South Florida and Tampa, because I had just had my first daughter, and she just graduated high school, so she'll be in college this coming up.
Of course, man. Congratulations to Caleb, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So Ole Miss slides in. Dex goes and checks out. He goes to Oxford, checks out Ole Miss, and listen, we've had some times back in Oxford too, man. So shout out to Oxford and Ole Miss football, because
hotty, baby. Shout out Oxford.
Hey, hotty, because we always had a good time back there, man. One of the times we went back to Ole Miss, it was crazy. They were playing Arkansas, right? And the AD came and got us, and he was like going to walk us down. They were like 30 minutes from like going on the field for warm-ups, and he just walked you like this right through the middle of the locker room. Dudes are getting ready for the game. And he was like, come on, bro, just follow me. And we literally just walked right in the coach's office. He's talking to you like, Dex, man, so glad to have you back here, bro. Like, talk to some of the guys before they go on. And I'm sitting there just going, this dude's like, he's getting ready for the game. They're playing Arkansas in 30 minutes, getting ready to take the field. And that's just the type of love and the person you were, and the type of numbers and stuff you put up at Ole Miss, that they showed you nothing but love every time you go back there. So that was always fun for me to go back to Oxford with you and to check out Ole Miss.
And like you just said, I think it's just the love that I showed while I was there, the genuineness, being unapologetically me, staying after the games. I rushed for 200 something yards, but here I am standing aside 250 kids, not because of an image, but because I know that one signature or that one little moment, might change somebody's life, man. So that's why I think the love I gave, they're giving it back times 10.
Of course, that love and support there. That love and support there. So Ole Miss. So I want to go back to some of your records and stuff that you had at Ole Miss. I saw. So in 2006, 2007, you kind of had some injury type seasons where you didn't play full seasons, right?
Yeah, I had some adversity. Yeah, early. Yeah,
of course. And I go back and look. 2008, they've got your second team All SEC. But then 2009 was when you had third team All American and then first team All SEC. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Yep. So Dex, let's talk a little bit about that huge game that you had. I know you know which game I want to talk about. It's that Tennessee game. I went back and looked at the stats. I went back and watched a little bit of the video today and saw the 284 yards rushing, 324 all-purpose yards. How many times did you score that day?
Yeah, so I scored 4 touchdowns that game. It was like everything was going right that game. So every time I touched the ball, I wasn't thinking. It's like my body was just reacting. So it was one of those special games. And and I can remember, the morning of the game, I went to coach and was like, hey, I want to talk to the team. And he was like, yeah, go for it. And I remember getting up in front of the team, and I was like, hey, I'm going to run as hard as I can. I'm going to run so hard that y'all are going to have to carry me off the field.
I love it,
and
man.
I promise you, I didn't. At that moment, I knew I was going to give everything I had for the team.
Right.
But I didn't know that type of game was going to happen, and they ended up carrying me off the field. So
that's awesome.
So
that was at Ole Miss. That was at Ole Miss Stadium then.
Yes, at Ole Miss Stadium.
At Ole Miss.
Yes, sir. At Ole Miss Stadium, and again, 4 touchdowns, and just being able to go out there and have a game like that was awesome.
Was Eric Berry on that Tennessee team?
He sure was. And when we got and
EB was on that team.
Yeah, and we both got drafted to Kansas City. So when we're in the child hall, some of the coaches were giving them crap every time we came up there. But it was just a friendly joke, and it was fun for us, man.
Of course.
But yes, he was.
So on that same roster, I remembered on that same roster, another guy that I got to work with and had a pleasure of working with was your guy, because when I started working with you, you made the introduction to Kendrick Lewis, safety Kendrick Lewis. Yes.
Yep.
So K.
Kendrick Lewis.
You
and we actually went to Ole Miss together too. We were roommates.
Right.
At Ole Miss.
Oh wow, man!
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Awesome.
So you guys are roommates at Ole Miss, and the draft comes up. You went 36 overall. Second round draft pick to the Chiefs. What round did K. Lou get come?
It was later, so I don't know if it was like the fourth or fifth.
Fourth or fifth.
Yeah, fourth or fifth round.
I remember when you guys both got drafted. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I was in the parking lot. I was doing some stuff with Derek Johnson, and he said, "Hey man," he goes, "That's our new kid from Ole Miss." And I had met you and said, "Hey man, want to sit and talk with you?" And you were like, "Man, let me grab K. Lou." And we went and met and talked, and everything else from there was me taking care of you and K. Lou, and was always a good time, man. Great guys from Ole Miss. I've always had good luck with my guys from Ole Miss.
And the thing about it, man, you've always been who you were, man. Like you can tell that the energy was always there. You stood on business, and it shows here today that now. No, we're like family. We are family. You know what I mean? So,
of course.
I mean, I watched your daughter grow up. As well as my daughter.
That's what I'm saying. Can you believe Kayla graduated from high school and then Carly graduated from from college from Creighton this year? So she's going to be a nurse at Children's Mercy Hospital, and so we're super excited about that. So no, like you said, we build these relationships and we see each other's family. I mean, when you met Carly was 7, 8, 9 years old. You were going and doing pizza parties at St. Joe to help raise money for the school. You would always go back. DJ would always go back. We got TK to go back a couple times. But
yeah, man, it was fun. It was fun, man. Yeah.
But that's that.
Just to imagine now, she's out of school, correct?
Yeah, she just graduated from Creighton, so she'll start her nursing job at Children's Mercy coming up. Yeah,
from pizza to the big league.
Yeah, for sure. Dex, I tell people a lot when I talk about, people ask and they'll talk about primetime assistance, they'll talk about primetime transportation. And I said, I don't work with every guy that comes through, and I don't claim to work with every guy that comes through. You talk with guys, you meet guys, and right off the bat, guys you click with that are gonna want your help. And like DJ said, when DJ came on the show, DJ was like, the biggest thing for me was I had someone like a big brother to me that knew Kansas City in and out, that treated my family like his family. And that was the same way when you came in, your mom and dad started coming in, cousins, people started coming in, traveling in. That's kind of what we've built. And that's part of the reason that we started our podcast was we said, you know what, let's go back and talk to all these guys we worked with through all these years, man. Hear their stories about how they got to the league, hear about how our relationship started and where it went to. And like I said, I've always had, a lot of fun working with you and your family and, coming down to Florida. And like I said, we can't wait to see you come back during the season to catch a game. But
100%.
So I want to go back and talk to you about when you were drafted, when you did your party there in and Tampa. And your Tampa Bay was where you did your party. I remember you taking me to the bar. But tell me a little bit about that night. Tell me a little bit about your agent, your conversation, your family. Did you think you were going to go higher? Did you think you were going to go in that second round? What was your agent telling you that day, kind of leading up to the draft?
So me, I always hold myself, I know what I was capable of, and I just knew it just took one person, one team to just shoot that shot. So the first day of the draft, I was at home in Largo, just sitting there hoping like maybe not. But that second day, something just told me, hey, somebody's going to see it. Somebody's going to jump that gun. Right? You know what I'm saying? So ended up debating, should I have these camera crews there? I know I rented out the venue. Like, what should I do? Right. And they left it up to me, and I said, yeah, we're going for it.
I know.
So that night.
Yeah, no. I mean, I loved it because I remember, that night seeing that. And then I remember going back and seeing your family, after we started working together, going back and watching that and seeing that, your family together and all that. So you have the whole family there. Who calls you?
Whole family's there, man. The whole neighborhood, my wife, Brittany, was there like before she was my wife, but that was my wife. Hello. Right. You know what I mean? But so we're all there, and I'm sitting there nervous, like if I don't get picked, I have all these people here, I have my family here. I just didn't want to let anybody down, right?
Of course.
And then my phone rung. I had a Nokia. My phone rung, and it was a private number. And I looked at my agent, and I was like, hey, should I answer this? And he was like, yeah, answer it. So I picked it up, and they were like, voices on the other line saying, hey, is this Dexter? I said, yes, sir. He was like, are you nervous? I said, yes, sir. He was like, but this is the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to pick you coming up next. You know, welcome.
Right.
We're looking forward to it, this and that. And it was like a weight just dropped off of my shoulders. I went to smiling, and everybody around me just, it's almost like everybody that night got drafted, man. So it was an unbelievable feeling just to be around that energy and do it with my family and do it in my hometown. So it was amazing and unbelievable. And
of course,
I tell you
bro.
what, I thank the Chiefs, and I said when I get down there, I'm gonna bust my butt and work as hard as I can. And you know, I think I left a little bit of a mark on that field a little bit.
Who was the head coach the year that they drafted? Was that Herm? Who was their coach here?
No. It was he used to always
was it Haley?
Haley, yeah, come on, Dexter.
Yes,
Sproles would have caught that ball, and I'm like, leave me alone about Sproles, man.
Right.
But yeah, it was Todd Haley. Yeah.
Okay, so Todd Haley was the coach when they did that when they drafted you. Like I said, man, that's big time, man. Because you go 36th overall in the second round. That's a high draft pick, man. That's
man. I'm proud of that, man. Like to be honest with you, I still feel I should have slid in that first round, but you know that's just a competitor in me.
Hey, listen, bro. Going fourth overall in the second round, 36th overall. That's
big time, man.
That's big time,
definitely
bro.
an accomplishment for this little guy that was counting out the underdog. Turn into the big dog.
Hey, that's it, man. So let's talk a little bit about your rookie season. Okay,
all right.
2009, you get drafted. You know, as you know, we as Jamie and I, we have season tickets. Our families had season tickets since my dad started them in 1965. So he starts the season tickets. We have those. So we sit 50-yard line. We're there. You know, we see our guys coming out, Dexter. We see our guys coming out, Kendrick Lewis and DJ.
Yeah.
It was a Monday night game, San Diego Chargers, September 13th. And I want you to talk a little bit about
2010, big dog.
So the 2010. So I want you to talk a little bit about that play against the Chargers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was, Javier Arenas, he was our punt returner, right? And of course, I practiced it, during practice just in case, something went wrong or I had to be in there, right?
Of course.
But in that moment, I had no intentions on going out there and being a punt returner that day,
right?
Or that night. So I'm just sitting on the sideline. I see Todd Haley lean over to Coach Tobin like, hey, I want to see McCluster return one. I read his lips and I immediately panicked, right? So I'm like, okay, all right, Dex, just catch the ball. That's it. I don't care if you gain a yard. Just catch it. Just catch it. So I get out there. Boom, the punt's in the air. I'm looking up. The rain's hitting me. The small droplets hitting me in my face. Like, I don't even think I blinked one time, right?
Of course.
So I'm looking. But once I caught it so low. But it's like when I caught it, everything else disappeared and just natural instinct kicked in.
Of course.
And I remember just making one miss. And after that, hitting the sideline, and I think, was it Studebaker?
Yes. Studebaker made that block. Yes.
Terrence Copper was in front of me and nobody else, man. So it was like one of those moments where wow, this is really happening. Yeah. This is really happening on Monday Night Football. I can't wait to call my parents when I get in the locker room and say, did y'all see that?
Yeah, man.
It was just a crazy moment. Unbelievable, man.
I mean, Monday Night Football, bro, you go break the Chiefs record, 94-yard punt return. Like you said, it was raining. You get in there, and the first time, you get to touch it, you score your first touchdown as an NFL player. And I know Kansas City crowd was crazy. Already knew what type of guy we had in our system and in our game. It was exciting, bro. I remember being there, Jamie and I jumping up and down, going crazy. Because I remember you made the first guy miss, cut out to the left, and the rest of his history, bro.
All I saw was red.
The rest of his history. So like I said, man, thank you for coming on tonight, bro. When we're down here at Nimble Brew, we like to sip on a little bit of tequila. So I know you got some back there in Nashville, and so just raise a little toast up, man. Tell you, thank you for coming on.
I got a little bit of
thank you for coming on tonight, bro. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for having me, bro.
Salute,
man.
Salute, man.
Honest.
Love you, bro.
Brother.
Love you.
Love you too, man.
So let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit more about the 2010 rookie season. You had that huge night against San Diego. You had that big return. And I like the way that they utilized you. It started off being the punt returner, kick returner game. Then they started putting you back in the running back mode, the receiver mode. So tell me a little bit about how that was coming into the NFL and how they utilized you in so many different ways.
Yeah, man. So I knew as a player, I always felt limitless to where you can have me at running back, which I felt was my natural position anyways.
Right.
You can put me at a receiver and I won't miss a beat. You know, you can put me in special teams, punt returner. So I prided myself at being that Swiss Army knife, being able to being put in anywhere and still make some type of an impact. And, you know, coming into the league with me, you know, catching punts, with me doing all of the above, you know, all it took was a guy by the name of Andy Reid to come and see that thing, man, and just, you know, utilize it, you know. So I think that's what kind of helped me out, you know, with the longevity of my career, because I was able to, you know, be a running back, was able to motion out, be a receiver, and still make some sort of impact.
So Andy came in 2013 was his first year in Kansas City. So that was your fourth. Yes, that was your fourth year there. So did you feel like when Andy got here with his creative mind offensively and what he does, did you feel like they utilized you more, like a lot better when Andy got here than previous coaches?
Yeah, 100%. You know, again, with Andy, man, he's a brilliant mind, you know, and he could have had maybe 10 of myself, and all 10 would have made some type of impact on the field. That's just the way he operates and he thinks. And, you know, I was grateful for him coming. You know, he saw something and he was like, you know what? We're gonna put this guy in and we're gonna make this thing work. So he, like I said, man, he's just I promise you, I wish I could have stayed. I wanted to stay so bad, but as you know, you gotta have a family. But just with him coming in and the guys that he brought in, man, it was just unbelievable how he was able to, you know, incorporate me in different positions and allow me to eventually, you know, make it to my first Pro Bowl, man. So I'm forever grateful for Andy Reid and that coaching staff.
Of course, you know, the stuff that Andy does. And so I want to get back a little bit more to your 2013 season, your first season with Andy. But I want to ask you a few questions right now. You know, we've talked a little bit about your skills and the punt return game and the kick return game. You know, you watch guys previous and before you, guys like Dante Hall. And then more recent guys, you've seen guys like McCole Hardman, you've seen Tyreek Hill. How do you feel when we're looking at our Chiefs guys and we're looking, how do you feel you compare? Was it a different era when you were there? Does it change? Or how do you go and stack up against McCole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Dante Hall, in your eyes when you were here in Kansas City?
You're saying how do you think that we would stack?
How do you feel you stack up? Like when you look, do you look at like McCole had some different things maybe that you didn't have, or do you feel like all you guys had that vision? You guys all had that explosiveness, because I know I saw it out of Dante. I know I saw it out of you. I saw it out of Tyreek and McCole. It's a different thing, because you, like people say, you can't teach speed, and all you guys had that next gear, that next level. When you hit it, it was over. You cancel Christmas, because once Dexter hit that next level, gone. Tyreek, same way.
With all the guys that you said, you know, we all had that it factor. You know, we all had that second gear, that burst, that knack for creating things when it seems impossible type of deal. You know, so I feel again, man, I'm around good company. Those guys that were great players before me and after me, and it's going to be even greater players, you know, after that. You know what I mean? So I think guys like us, we make a big impact because every time we get the ball, they have to hold their breath.
Oh, for sure.
Something might happen.
For sure, every time.
Something good might happen. It's a possibility.
Of course. So when you get to Kansas City in 2010, you get drafted. Do you go back? Because you're hearing, you know, previously, like, you know, Dante Hall was that guy. Do you ever go back and look at Dante's film to see if there's anything you can pick up? Or is that something you're just like, as long as I'm doing me and I'm doing my skill set, I'm handling my business, I'm going to be fine? Or do you go back and look at film? Do you go back and watch Dante Hall when you get to Kansas City?
Yeah, 100%. You know, even when I got there, I know how much he meant to the city. I know what he was as a player there, and the things that he done. He kind of set that standard, man. Of those little shifty guys going out there and making big things happen. You know,
of course.
And so even when I was playing, you know, I've always had the respect for him. When I see him at the game, see him out and about, it just made me want to go harder. You know, it made me want to, like, hey, show him that, hey, you know what? You set the standard. The X Factor, and then 2013, people started calling me the Dex Factor, man. So it was just an unbelievable feeling, man. Like to just to be in the same conversation as a guy like that, the guy that was so impactful, man. And
of course,
you know, so I definitely did. Before games, I used to go out there, special teams, punt return, the day before the game, I used to sit there and watch him, watch all of his highlights, trying to emulate it.
Right. So one of the things, Dex, like I said, that I've always liked, man, is that, like you said, that brotherhood that you guys share. Because I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to work. Dante was one of the first guys I worked with. I was fortunate enough and blessed to work with you when you were here, and then also Tyreek and McCole. So to watch those guys and listen to them talk about, man, you know what? We go back and we watch some of the stuff that Dante did. We do watch some of the stuff that Dexter did. It's that love. It's that love and that mutual respect for your craft and what you bring to the game, and how those guys wanted to be like, you know what, man, we want to do what DMC did. We want to do what Dante did. So, and I think that's kind of the respect and stuff and love that comes out in Tyreek and comes out in McCole. And listen, I know you watch the game all the time right now. Tyreek is special, man. He's a different type of twitch, man. He's one of those athletes. He's just different. And you have to respect it. Right. Whether you play with him or you're playing against him, you have to respect it. You just know he's a special guy, so you just have to. You better bring your lunch every single play. Right. You know, when he got here, I started doing some work with him, and I was talking to some of the guys on defense, and they said, "You don't understand. We've never seen a guy that's been able to, go a speed, cut a direction, and then turn and be back at full speed within a few steps." And like you said, those are those different dudes, man. Those are those dudes with that it factor.
And now you go, like, when I watch some of his workouts now, it's just a different type of twitch. It's almost like he got extra rubber bands in his legs. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like you said, he can be one way and reverse field and almost not even lose any type of speed, man. Right. And that's a special ability. And I think he knows that. Yeah. And he's tapped into it and he believes that. So I think he knows and he feels like, hey, nobody can stop me.
No, and you know what, Dex? I'll tell you, I've been blessed to be around him and work around him. And Tyreek, I'll tell you, that guy in the off season, man, he puts the work in. Like you said, guys like 100%. That, he puts that extra work in. That guy's working every day doing something. I just ran into him.
That's the difference. Right. That's the difference, man.
Right. I ran into him this past weekend. We were heading out to Philadelphia for Memorial Day weekend, and I ran into Tyreek at the airport, and I told him, I said, man, I got Dex coming on the show, and he said, man, just hit me up and let me know when, bro. So we hopefully, Tyreek and McCole will come on later, but
the cheetah, man.
Hey, the cheetah, Hey, so listen, let's go back and talk a little bit about your 2013 season, because it was a big year. I know on the field. I know it was a big year off the field, because I remember picking you up at the airport when Ava was born, that December 8th when they against the Redskins game. And I pitched. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But tell me a little bit about that 2013 season. Reid comes in. You guys start the season off 9-0, and you're all over the field making plays. I think, me personally, I think obviously 2013 was your best season as a pro. Yeah. If you look at the stats, the All-Pro, the Pro Bowl, and the number of guys that you went along there with. Tell me a little bit about that 2013 season when Andy Reid comes in that locker room.
Yeah, man. So when Andy Reid came there, you can almost feel that it was a shift in energy. You can kind of feel that, hey, something special is going to happen. And then when we kept putting those back-to-back wins, we didn't become cocky, but we just believed in what we were capable of. We believed in what we had, right?
It was a different swag in that locker room, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's just different. You know, people weren't walking around tight. You know, he's the type of coach that's going to let his coaches coach. Right. He's going to let his players show that personality. He's going to come to me and be like, hey, deuce. Right. So I have the NFL logo on the back of my right leg. So he'll always be behind me and say, hey, deuce. I want to see that big NFL logo. I want to see it in the end zone, and I want to see that dance. I want to see your personality. Right. And when you got a guy like that, that's wanting you to go out there and just have fun, that's wanting you to go out when you make a big play, let everybody know, let the world know, because it's contagious, man. I think that's why we were so special in that moment, in that year, 2013. Of course. Because we had a guy that was a real deal leader. We had a guy that let us be us no matter what. Right. I was just saying, because you hear a lot of guys talking even now, you hear about them talking about Andy being a player's coach. And you see some of the stuff he does, like, even recently when they come to their off-season workouts, instead of having them be mandatory here in Kansas City, over the last 5 years with all the extra playoff games, the Super Bowls and stuff they've gone to, it's like playing a full another season. So their first couple of weeks this year, they just went virtual. They told people to stay back in their hometowns, get some rest. They did a couple of weeks of virtual. And to me, that's just that's that coach that knows when to push them. He trusts his players, right?
Yes. Yes.
And with him showing his players like, you know what, we're gonna do this online or virtual for this time,
right?
And that's kind of, it's almost not a mind game, but it's showing his players like, dang, like he's really giving us this, so we're gonna give him whatever we have.
Of course,
you know
of course. So let's go back again and talk a little bit about, like I said, let's talk a little bit about this offense that Kansas City's got right now. Even last year when they felt like they didn't have all the pieces they need in the receiver room, they still had 15, they still had 87. Tell me what you saw, like even last year when people were talking about they had losses during the middle of the year and it was like, these guys aren't going to win a Super Bowl this year. But tell me when you're kicking back watching games, what you see out of 15, 87 that makes them different, that separates them.
Yeah, so with the Kansas City offense, what I see the sky is just the limit. There's no limitations. You know, the coaching staff trusts the guys that he have out there.
Right.
The offensive guys trust the guy that's leading him.
Right.
And when you have so many weapons and you have a coaching staff that can put everybody in the best position to be successful, I mean, it's just what I see in that offense, man. I see limitless.
Right.
Limitless.
You know, last year during the season, you know, Kelce had a few nicks and bruises and didn't put the numbers up that people were like, oh, you know, he's on this decline. But this is what I try to tell people. And like I said, I'm just an assistant. I'm a football lover. And watching him when people are saying, oh, he's not putting the numbers up, he's not doing this. And then all of a sudden you see him go out in the AFC Championship game and the guy goes for 11 and 150 and 2 touches and just made the Ravens defense look silly. He was telling dudes, you can't stop me. You cannot hold me. When 15's throwing me the ball, you can't stop me. And they have a great safety right now, a young kid out of Notre Dame that's a safety with the Ravens. And he was shutting people's water off last year. But I'm telling you, Kelce ate him alive in that AFC Championship game. Tell me what you want to see out of Travis. Tell me what you see out of Travis.
So with Travis, just speaking on what you just talked about, we know he had some nicks and bruises and all that, but that right there shows that he's a professional, that he's a pro. He knows that things aren't going to go, you know, as planned, but he stuck to the process. He know what he was capable of. He knows the quarterback that he has. He knows the coaches that he has. So all he had to do is just stick to the script, stick to the program, and the big things will happen. And it did, man. And
of course.
You could tell, man, he's always been a guy with a lot of swagger. You can tell that from day one when you seen him.
Of course.
You can tell he's nice, cool, calm, and collect.
Right.
But when he's out there on that field, he believes that he's the best guy on that field. I don't care what the stats look like.
Of course.
He believes it, and the guys around him, the defenders, they know that, hey, we have to figure out how to put some reins on this guy, because he's a guy that if he's rolling, 9 times out of 10, everybody else is.
Right. And it's funny to me too when you see Andy in his press conferences, because he's never too high, he's never too low. And you know, playoffs are rolling around, they're talking about these defenses coming up. And his comments always, it makes me laugh because I just want to bust out right now. But Andy always tells the media, he says, the bigger the stage, the bigger the lights, the more 15 and 87 want to show up. So it's like he's not even worried about it. He doesn't even sweat at it
because he knows he's going to show up and handle business, and that goes to show the trust that they have within each other.
Right,
and that's big. That's big.
And like I said, there were some games down the stretch where I think they set Kelce the last game and Mahomes the last game because it didn't matter at that point. But even a few games before, Kelce had 3 catches or 4 catches. But then you see him against Buffalo, and the guy comes out. What's he do? Scores a big TD in the first half that changes the whole momentum of the game. Then all of a sudden you saw what he did to the Ravens, and he scores again, in the Super Bowl. And it's just like, to me, the bigger the stage, the more those guys, the bigger the lights. They're like,
Big time players make big time plays. Ain't no stage too big for a playmaker.
That's it, Dex. So let me ask you a question about this Chiefs team right now. They've been in the last 5 years. They've been to 4 Super Bowls. They've won 3. How many more Super Bowls do you see 15 and 87 putting up? Or how many more Super Bowls do you see 15 winning before he's done?
I'll tell you what. I'm not a cheerleader, but give me some pom poms. Like I said, man, I'm everywhere I go. I'm saying they're asking who's going to win the Super Bowl, and I always say those Chiefs, man, because as long as Andy's there and as long as they keep that core together, man. I mean, it's a fun thing to watch, man. So you can never count them out. I don't care how they start. At the end of the day, they've been finished.
Okay, but listen, I'm going to pinpoint you here though for a minute, because this is the fun part of the podcast. I'm going to tell you the number that DJ said. I'm just curious. How many more do you think 15 wins in this organization before he's done? Just
Ooh,
I'm
gonna just go with what just hit my heart. I'm gonna say 4.
You're gonna say he wins 4 more. I like that.
That what DJ said?
I like no.
What DJ said?
DJ said probably 3 to 5, and that 6 to 7 range total is what he'll have.
Okay, we in the ballpark.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, Dex, you know me and my family, man. We went through a lot.
Yeah.
We went through a lot of lean years, bro. So to be able to see this and enjoy this, Super Bowl 54. I'm gonna take you back for a second. My mom passed in 2020, and I had an opportunity to go to Super Bowl 54 because I was working for Frank Clark, and I had an opportunity to go, and I chose to stay home with my family. And it was because my mom and dad had started our season tickets. Everybody was at my house, and that was the last game my mom ever saw. I never would have had that opportunity back. So to be able to see that with her, to share this with my dad who's 92 now, bro, it's priceless. It's priceless.
It'll stay with you forever, man.
Yes, yeah, still with the family, bro.
Yeah.
So big time. So okay, so let's go back to 2013 for a minute and talk about that Pro Bowl team and that Pro Bowl roster. If you remembered, you remember that crazy game you guys lost to the Colts in the playoffs? You remember that game?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I remember we had the game, and then I remember Andrew Luck fumbled the ball on like the goal line, picked it up, reached over and scored, and all of a sudden everything started to change.
Bro, we had that huge lead then, and then remember Jamal.
Huge.
Yeah, and remember Jamal got knocked out. He got a concussion off that hard turf in Indianapolis, and then Brandon Flowers got knocked out of the game.
Everybody.
But let's talk a little bit about in 2013 though the Pro Bowl, because there's a reason I want to bring it up. And tell me how excited you were when they called you and told you, hey, you were going to be in the Pro Bowl in Hawaii.
Man, it was an unbelievable feeling. Obviously when it's get to that time where it's time for the teams to vote, time for the fans to vote, I knew that the biggest impact I was making was on special teams. So I was like, well, maybe I can squeeze in that way, but I wasn't kind of, putting everything into that. And when they came and said, I made it, I mean, it was just, it was almost like I got drafted all over again, man.
Of course.
So I called the family. It was a beautiful and fun thing to where it's like, you know what? Finally, I was able to at least showcase, the type of player I was and the type of impact I could make. And it was just amazing, man.
Yeah,
amazing.
Going back and looking at those stats you had in 2013, you had the most kick return, punt return yards that year. You led the NFL, and you were.
They better stop playing with Run DMC.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. You was a Pro Bowler. You was all pro. You went to the Pro Bowl. But I'm going to tell you, it was one of the most fun days out of I've had in 22 years of being here. Because I'll never forget when you got selected. I saw it come up on the screen. I knew you were talking to your family and all that. You remember when you called me on the phone? And you said, hey.
You better pack your bags. You're on the way.
That's exactly you said, pack your bags, bro. We're going to Hawaii. And still to this day, bro, hey, I got, and I know no disrespect to any of my other clients, any of my other guys. DMC was the only dude that flew me to the Pro Bowl to make me being a part of what you guys had, and I can't thank you enough for letting me share that with you and your family during that time of the Pro Bowl. It was awesome. It was beautiful,
real,
bro.
Man.
Thank you,
man. I appreciate it. Guess what? Love you, bro.
I love you, bro, man. I love you so much, man. Hey, before we wind our interview down and bringing you on the podcast today, let's just talk a little bit about what you're doing now, man, because it's so special right now what you're doing with the kids, your training. Tell me a little bit about that, what you got going on in Nashville.
Yeah, man. So since I retired and hung those cleats up, trying to navigate through what was next and to find that purpose. And now I feel like I'm really walking in that purpose. Football really set me up to get to where I am now. So I started my own personal training business, McCluster Fit. That's the logo here, man.
Yes,
I don't know if I ever told you. So it's the 22 is my number. You already know that. But it's 2 2s backwards, making the heart.
I love
because when I was on that field, I was the smallest, but I felt like I had the biggest heart out there.
100.
And off the field, they can see why I was able to do what I did.
Of course.
On the field because of just the genuine heart and the genuine love I have for just for people in general, man. Yeah. So I train about 50 plus now, man. I've been doing some big things out here. So it's just been fun pouring back into the youth, pouring back into college guys, NFL athletes, man, and just letting them know, man, hey, I'm here for you guys, and I got something that I feel that's very special, and I've always had a light. So instead of that light shining on the field, it's shining off the field with my personal training business, man. I'm loving every moment of it, man. So shout out to McCluster Fit.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to McCluster Fit, what you're doing there in Nashville for the kids, man. I always tell kids that I see coming up and doing stuff because they'll tell me who they're training with or whatever. And I say, no disrespect to any trainer out there because people out there know the games and know that stuff. But I always tell them, if it was me, I would want to learn from somebody who walked that walk, somebody who knew what it was like to be recruited, go to Division I, hire an NFL agent, hire a financial advisor, and go through what you've been through. So, man, hats off to what you're doing with McCluster Fit in Nashville, bro. I can't thank you enough for coming on Love You Bro podcast tonight. It means the world to me, bro. And listen, I want to hit you back up when you come in for a game this season to come back on and do a part 2 to this interview tonight. But, bro, thank you so much, man. All right? Okay.
Yes, sir, man. I love you, man. I appreciate you having me on. I got one more thing before I go.
Yes, sir.
And the home
of the
Chiefs.
There it is. Hey,
appreciate you, bro.
I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Okay, talk to you, bro. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Amen.